by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer.
And by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
Now, the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Good afternoon to you on this Friday. It is a gorgeous afternoon in St. Louis, and we know it's been nice in Florida, too. It always is this time of year, so perfect to talk Cardinals baseball. It feels as if we are connected even more so to the Cardinals because they're in good weather. We're in good weather right now, and Grapefruit League play is ongoing. It'll be Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang with you until 1 o'clock today. We're going to talk to Nate Green, who oversees the Red Ribbon panel. That is how fans vote for Cardinals Hall of Famers. And we talked about the ballot this week. The nominees, Yachty, Albert, Brian Jordan, George Hendrick are on the ballot for this year. We are also going to, at 12:30, talk with Brian Walton. We will have some Cardinals prospects discussions with him. Right now, we've got Claibs and Paulie in the broadcast booth right now. So, gentlemen, must be beautiful there in Florida, is it not?
84 degrees, a couple of clouds in the sky, nice breeze blowing in from right field. Couldn't ask for a better day here in Florida.
You know, I'm confused, though. I thought the Red Ribbon panel was their own thing, and then the fan vote was something completely different.
Well, the Red Ribbon panel, which I'm not on, by the way. I'm a little salty about that. Anyway. Well, so here's why I say that, and I'm kidding. I've seen more Cardinal baseball than anybody on that committee, okay? And I'm not on it. That's all I got to say.
Who do we have to? We'll talk to Nate about that.
Nah, I don't care. No, listen, they did a nice job this year. And what they do is list the finalists. They come up with the finalists. I'll let Nate explain. But that's his job.
Don't they get one selection each year?
We'll ask him.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I feel like I think the Red Ribbon panel and the fan vote are two separate things.
No, I think the Red Ribbon panel puts the candidates together, and then the fans vote on the candidates.
We're knocking through the really important stuff right now.
That is. I know that, the fan vote is now through April 17th, and the ceremony is going to happen in September. But, of course, there is current Cardinals baseball stuff that is going on right now. And let's first start with Matthew Liberatore, who is probably going to be the opening day starter, went 3 innings yesterday. And and we'll begin with you, Claibs, for a guy who threw about 150 innings in 2025, and he told us, I believe it was last week, that he's hoping to get around 180. What kind of season do you expect out of him now being built up a little more?
I think this is a breakout season for him. And it's interesting. We talk about a guy who threw 150 innings. The Cy Young Award winner threw 199 innings. Okay, so innings doesn't have the impact that it used to with guys that go 300. But I think that for Matthew Liberatore, this is going to be a breakout year. He has that year of experience as a starter. He's developed enough pitches to make him a guy you have to really think about facing. He's got that swagger. Matt, you've seen him pitch as much as I have. I think he's got that swagger now where he feels comfortable in being not only a starter, but being the ace of this staff.
Yeah, I think he's taken that on as a responsibility and something he wants. He wants to be the de facto leader of this rotation, and he wants to take what happened last year and build upon it. There's nothing wrong with a guy in his first year as a starter kind of hitting a wall the way he did in the second half of the season, and the Cardinals did the best that they could in terms of pumping the brakes on him a little bit and kind of massaging that out to get him through the end of the season. But I have very high expectations for Libby this season.
Second pitch, it hits him. We're doing a little play-by-play here.
What's going on the field right now?
Well, first batter we see is Carson Benji. He just got hit by a pitch by Quinn Matthews. I guess I'm doing this without the express written consent of the Cardinals.
You are.
So I don't know if I should give the description of the count of this game because
I think it's
John and Ricky are like just to our left, and they're over on 11:20 a.m. right now.
Yeah,
and then we're in this booth. Yeah.
So I guess I shouldn't say anything more about it.
I mean,
because I don't have the express.
ESPN does 9 broadcasts of every game that they have now, so we're fine.
Yeah. This is like the Peyton Manning cast.
It is, yeah.
You guys are doing the Manning cast right now.
Yeah, and we're watching Juan Soto dig a nice. See, 20 years ago, a guy who dug in that deep, he'd be knocked down on the next pitch.
I bet he does. Let us know if he does get knocked down.
No, they don't do that anymore.
Ron, you're a whole lot less interesting when I'm also watching a baseball game.
What do you want me to do, man? I can't help it. I'm over here in St. Louis in the dingy studio. I want to be where you guys are. Thomas Ajaysi got yeah. Well, I can't. Now it's too late. Thomas Ajaysi got to start in center field. Cardinals are trying something out with him. Giving him some reps out there. I know it's just one game, but any thoughts on him playing that position?
Well, they want to just see, they want him to make this team and be valuable. I don't know if he has a true position, but just getting some fly balls in the outfield is something they want him to get. And we'll see how that works, especially in a ballpark like this, Matt, where the wind can play real tricks on you, especially at this time of the year.
Yeah, he didn't get a single fly ball yesterday in left field.
Saw a lot of foul balls, but that was about it.
I'm looking at him right now.
Goodness, what a good piece of hitting by Juan Soto.
I'm looking at JC right now as he's playing in center field, and we'll see if he gets anything. I joked around yesterday a little bit. I asked Ollie, do you want to see a lot of balls hit out to left field? And then there wasn't a single one, so that one's on me.
You jinxed him too, huh?
I did. Ollie was basically asked like the same kind of question today about is there value in Sajasi playing center field if he doesn't get anything hit to him, just because on just about everything off the bat there's at least going to be reads. So just right now what we just saw was a Juan Soto base hit down the left field line. Sajasi was taking off and he was going in that direction. So there's going to be a little bit more activity for Sajasi today, almost no matter what happens. But I just want to see. I want to see the dude make a catch.
Well, I just think it's important for him to be out there just to get a read of how the ball comes off the bat, and then from that point on, you kind of figure out positioning and everything else that comes with it. And you can only get so much of that in batting practice and off the machine. So you really want to see live hitting, and you want to see what pitchers are throwing as well.
Cardinals in the Grapefruit League right now are 4-2, and the wins I don't think matter all that much in spring training. They certainly don't count when the season starts. But is there a value for the players, in particular the young players, in getting wins at this point?
I think from a statistic standpoint, I don't think you look at wins. I think you look at, smaller things as far as if you're a pitcher, how your stuff plays against the opposition. As we have a wild pitcher, the Mets have just scored their first run of the game. It's about little wins, if there is such a thing. How you look as far as a hitter. What are you doing in the batter's box? What are you working on? Are you trying to hit the breaking ball? Are you looking for something away? If you're a pitcher, how's a hitter react to your stuff? Is it coming out of your hand the same way? So there's a lot of little things you try and work on. But as far as the bottom line, he got the win today compared to the loss. That really doesn't register to a lot of people here, especially in the first week.
That was actually something that was talked about this morning with Ollie about how he views spring training stats. And he looks at more at the information behind the stats. So when we talk about pitchers, what does the pitch shape look like? Is it going where it's supposed to go? If in a small sample size, something random happens where somebody really, really excels or really, really struggles, but the underlying numbers say it shouldn't have played out that way, that's they're going to be more worried about the underlying numbers. And the other thing that's really important here, and that's something that he brought up today, is you got to remember the guys that you're playing against are not game planning for you.
No.
You're trying to work on your own stuff. So nobody's coming up and seeing Jordan Walker come to the play and say, man, I got to throw low and away sliders because I know this guy can't hit them. Pitchers are coming up and they're saying that I need to work on this stuff. So you really wins and losses, zero value. I mean, half of these games that the Cardinals have won have been tie games late that guys who are going to be playing single A baseball have won. So there's no value in winning there. And then the actual things that the actual stats that occur inside of a game, you really have to take those with a grain of salt.
Yeah. And, the other thing that goes into that, and you make a good point, as long as you're not sloppy, if your fundamentals aren't sloppy and you're doing things, that aren't taught, that's when you have a concern. We haven't seen that with this team. Is one thing about the Cardinals and Ollie Marmol and his coaching staff. They are detail driven. They don't overlook anything. And when they go through the drills, if it doesn't look right to them, they'll do it again. And if it doesn't look right then, they'll do it again and again and again until they get it right. And with a team that doesn't score a lot, at least they didn't last year, you can't beat yourself by not executing the fundamentals.
Channeling your inner Herb Brooks again.
Yeah,
Again.
exactly.
Again.
Claves and
We
Matt
have a
Pauley.
nice crowd here today.
Yeah.
Chris. The governor of the state of Florida, Ron
DeSantis, he's
is
there.
here. Yeah, he's here. He's the only guy here with a suit on.
Yeah, you
So
guys
we've seen Chris Christie
you saw
and Ron
Chris Christie?
DeSantis. Yeah.
I
politicians
think
love
Matt's
baseball.
gonna go get his autograph here in a minute.
Go get it.
Well, he's hanging out with his Ivy League brethren. The Witch went to Yale, and Chaim Bloom went to Yale. And I didn't go to Yale. What about you?
I did not.
Okay.
David Stearns, the Mets president
David
of baseball
Stearns,
operations,
yeah,
right
he's
next
a
to us. I
Yale
believe
guy.
he's he may be a Harvard guy.
He's an
Yeah.
Ivy Leaguer.
You got to be an
he's
Ivy
not
League
really-
guy to be a president of baseball operations these days, I think.
Or an owner.
That's right. Claves and Pauley, they are in Florida where the Cardinals are in the midst of a Grapefruit League game right now. When we come back, we're going to talk to Nate Green, who oversees the Red Ribbon panel. Cardinals have announced their Hall of Fame candidates for the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Yachty and Albert are on the list along with BJ and George Hendricks. So we're going to talk to Nate about the voting process and more. That is coming up next. But have you ever wanted to go to the NBA Finals? Well, this is your opportunity, and it's thanks to FanDuel. All you have to do is use your profit boost on an NBA future, and you're going to be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. So NBA futures, they let you look down the road a bit. So if you want to predict who you think is going to be the conference champion or who you think is going to be the NBA champion, you can lock in that pick right now on FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Missouri will get you started. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or over and present in Missouri. No purchase necessary. Limit one entry for Profit Boost token. Opt-in required. Must apply Profit Boost token on select market. Restrictions apply. See full terms, including methods of entry, at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Building for their family's memories. Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Adam. We started Legacy Box to help save your family's most important recorded moments so you don't have to worry.
Load Legacy Box with your old movies, film reels, and shoeboxes of photos.
We work our digitizing magic, converting those memories right to the cloud so they're safe and accessible forever.
It's fast, we always send your originals back, and it's done right here in the USA.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box. Better Homes and Garden, Real Simple, and Inc. magazine are all talking about Legacy Box.
New York Times columnist David Pogue says, have them digitized. I wish I'd done it sooner. Take action. Save your family's memories today with Legacy Box.
Go to legacybox.com/value to get an incredible 50% off your Legacy Box. That's legacybox.com/value for 50% off while supplies last. legacybox.com/value.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
When it comes to lighting, Gray Bar goes beyond parts and products. We help contractors turn plans into smart designs, manage kitting and deliverables, and navigate local codes so you can stay on time and on budget. Smart, scalable, job site ready. That's not just lighting. That's like kicking your project into Gray Bar mode. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
For residential and commercial heating repairs, service, maintenance, or installation, contact Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. With over 50 years of HVAC service, get in your comfort zone this winter. Visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Get ready, St. Louis area. The St. Charles Boat Show is here March 5th through 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center. See the top dealers from the Lake of the Ozarks and climb aboard your next dream boat. New models, great deals, and summer fun starts here. Visit lakeoftheozarksboatdealers.com for details.
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Gashouse Gang is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, and Chesterfield Fence and Deck. We've got Matt Pauley and Mike Claiborne in Florida right now, where the Cardinals are playing some baseball. I'm Chris Ranji in the studio downtown here in St. Louis. And we do know that there are 4 candidates for the Cardinals Hall of Fame this season. It was announced this week. Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, Brian Jordan, and George Hendrick are on the list, and all potential inductees. That will happen in the ceremony in September. The fan voting goes on through April 17th. And to talk about the process with us, we are now joined by Nate Green, who oversees the Red Ribbon panel and is with us now on KMOX. Nate, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm great. Thanks for having me. How are you all doing today?
We're doing great. So, I mean, there is so much confusion. We've been talking about these nominees and how the voting works and how many people can get in at once and how the nominees are even decided. Let's start there. How do we determine who is going to be on the ballot?
Yeah, so every year we have a red ribbon committee or red ribbon panel. And every year, what's that? Who's on the panel?
Yeah.
We've got a number of people on the panel. We've got Tom Ackerman from KMOX, Frank Cusimano, Derek Gould, Benjamin Hockman, Randy Carricker, Martin Kilcoyne, Tony La Russa, Bernie Miklasz, Joe Ostermeyer, Rob Raines, Joe Torre, and Brian Walton round out our current Red Ribbon panel. So, large group of people, very well-respected and well-known people within the Cardinal community. We get that group together every year right around winter warm-up, and their job annually is to do 2 things. We convene, we do a presentation of many different players going through stats and discussions and discussions of their playing history. From that, the panel decides and votes on who the veteran selection will be, and they choose that person. It's a secret ballot, so currently they still don't know. But they do a secret ballot and decide who that veteran selection is going to be. And then they also do a secret ballot to put together who the modern player will be, and that becomes the fan vote. So they put together the ballot that gets presented to the fans, which we just sent out, as you said, on Wednesday.
Nate, obviously there's a couple very prominent names on this, and not trying to take anything away from George Hendrick and Brian Jordan, who will get into the Cardinal Hall of Fame at some point and are very much deserving. But when you have an Albert Pujols and a Yadier Molina coming up for induction eligibility, is there any talk about maybe doing things a little bit different just because of their stature and the history of the organization?
Absolutely. There's been a lot of conversations and communication, around that and surrounding that. The rules to get on a ballot is that you have to be a player for 3 years and be retired for 3 years. So both of these gentlemen that you're speaking of, Pujols and Molina, retired in 2022. So these conversations have been happening since then. We knew when it was coming. The organization reserves the right each year to select 1 or 2 players. We started the Hall of Fame in 2014. We had an inaugural class in 2014 when we opened the current Cardinals Museum. And then at the end of 2014 was the first time that we had our fan vote. From 2014 all the way through 2020, there were 2 players, modern players, put in every year. In 2021, or since 2021, we have only selected 1 player to go in from that fan vote. So, depending on how the fan vote goes this year, who knows? It could be 1 person going in, or it could be 2.
Nate Green is with us. He is the overseer of the Red Ribbon panel. We talk about the Cardinals Hall of Fame here. And so, of course, it's perfect to have Albert and Yadier Molina go in, together. And of course, the fans still have to vote for this. Do you think that the ceremony that takes place at Ballpark Village, we were just talking about this yesterday, that maybe at some point it sort of outgrows that space, that so many people might want to come to it? Are there ever any discussions about moving it somewhere larger?
It has certainly been discussed. We haven't solidified plans on the induction other than the date. The date will be September 12th. And, as you just said, historically, it's always been at Ballpark Village. It used to always be inside Ballpark Village. The last few years, we've moved it outside, and it's been a fantastic venue outside, and we've been lucky enough with the weather. But, again, depending on how the voting goes this year, there is certainly talk of we have two plans. We have a possibility of in the stadium, and we have a possibility of Ballpark Village, and neither one is solidified at this point.
Nate, one of the things I really enjoy about the whole process is when we find out, you mentioned the non-modern era, the when we go back a little bit further in Cardinal history. And it seems like every year there's a name that I'm not super familiar with. And it gives me an opportunity to dive in and learn that much more about Cardinals baseball. For you guys, what is that like for you? Like, we know about Pujols, we know about Molina, we know about Brian Jordan and George Hendrick, but so often you guys get to dig deep on some individuals that are not quite as prevalently known. And I got to think that's got to be a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. So that veteran selection, I believe, is what you're referring to. We do an organizational selection as well. There's not a guaranteed organizational selection every year, but there is certainly a veteran selection every year. And that has to be somebody who has been retired for 40 years. So once you hit that 40-year retirement mark, you would move from modern selection availability to that veteran selection availability. It is fun to dig back. A lot of that research has already been done for, the people that are 40 years retired and more. Right now, we kind of look at, okay, who's next? Who's the next person or the next candidate that will be approaching that 40-year? So it does change a little bit every year. You can add a name or two every year to that pool. But it is certainly fun. And, we've expanded what we consider Cardinals history as well. So that date has moved back to the late 1800s. So a lot of names and a lot of numbers to look at.
We know that you can vote at cardinals.com/HOF, and fans can do that through the middle of April 17th. That is the final day of voting. Is there anything else that fans should know ahead of the selection and then ultimately the induction in September?
Yeah, it is a fan vote, so fans need to get online and vote. You can vote once per day, so vote multiple times, vote every day. The voting, as you said, goes through April 17th, and we're anticipating the announcement to be late April, early May. That's also, just not solidified at this point, but certainly will be through the process. So everybody should be looking forward to what that announcement is, and vote every day.
Nate Green oversees the Red Ribbon panel for the Cardinals. We appreciate your time. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
That is Nate Green. Again, it's a good class. I mean, it's a good ballot. And, Paulie, you and I talked about this yesterday. I was such a big fan of that Brian Jordan outfield with Ron Gant and Ray Langford. And that was a time in Cardinals baseball where they were just starting to come back out of it. They had the great 80s years, and then it got pretty thin for a while. And it was that 96 team where they started to, really turn a corner. And then obviously with the La Russa years and then bringing in Albert and Yachty graduating to the big leagues, that team, that outfield was so much fun for me. And I know it was for you too.
It was. I love that group. I love that team. I say it all the time. That 96 team is the team where I fell in love with baseball and fell in love with the Cardinals. Clay, but I'm still upset that they blew that 3-1 lead against the Braves.
Dude.
Don't even get me started on that one. Donovan Osborne. My goodness.
Tony was pitching everybody on short rest. He pitched a guy on short rest in 5, 6, and 7. Just let somebody go in 5 and then win it in 6 or 7.
It was just, that may be one of the greatest meltdowns in the history of the car. And we've lost 3 games in one series before, but that one just really still.
And I mean, those games got out of hand so fast. I forget what the scores were,
and
but
the Braves could mash them too. So,
they could.
We had our hands full.
I remember them having a chance to clinch at home, and I think my mom was at the game. I was in college, and I remember I had a Braves fan friend, and that was just the worst. You know how it is when you got a friend of another team, there's a fan of another team, and your team loses to them, and they want to rub it in your face. That was the worst for me. Just the absolute worst. Let's talk Cardinals prospects. We'll do that with Brian Walton. He is with the CardinalsNation.com. We'll do that next. Matt Pauley, Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji. It's the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
I used to go to happy hour almost every night, and I loved it. And I've always thought of my show as being like happy hour. It's always interesting. It's often silly, but not always. You know, there are real things to talk about amongst friends, politics, and personal things. So that's what it is, really. It's happy hour for thousands of us every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m., and I hope you'll tune in and join the happy hour.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, DRURY law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
We've been here 30 years. 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Now, a St. Louis Cardinals spring training report. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens, and making memories. And by Happy Roof. We always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Spring training Cardinals baseball is happening right now in Florida. They are playing some Grapefruit League ball at the moment. We've got Mike Claiborne in the broadcast booth along with Matt Pauley. I'm Chris Ranji, St. Louis studios of KMOX, and we go back to the guest line again, talking a little prospects here. Brian Walton is the founder of the CardinalsNation.com and joins us now on the Gashouse Gang. How's it going, Brian?
Hey, great. Just came in from the backfields to take this call.
What's going on in the backfields right now as this game is going on in the main field?
Well, what happens is the regular minor league camp started this week. Prior to that, there was what was called depth camp. There were 70 players. Now there's many players here. So there's 140 players on the backfields. And at this point in time, the pitchers are ahead of the hitters, as you would expect. Pitchers are throwing bullpens, live bullpens. The hitters are a little bit behind, but they have minor league games will be a week from today. They play a shortened schedule compared to St. Louis. But the idea of that depth camp was to have a number of players here, pitchers who are ready and up to speed so that when St. Louis needs extra players in their games, they can call players over. They've been averaging somewhere between 10 and 12 minor leaguers today that come in and play in the late innings.
Well, we have a situation where Ian Bedell, who will be a backfield guy here fairly soon, he was called over and he pitched in the last inning for the Cardinals. So pitching is always in need down here, and certainly if you get out on the right foot, and these coaches and managers start to pay closer attention to you, you could have a chance to be over here, and the meal money's a lot better over here than it is on the backfields.
That's right. And Claves, you made a great point. And Ian Bedell's a guy that wasn't invited to Major League Camp, but he's been called over several times already. And you can still make that impression no matter what locker room you're in.
Brian, what have you seen so far from Liam Doyle? Because he's not part of Major League Camp, and he's been working on the backfields. Have you gotten the opportunity to see much of him so far?
I've seen him throw maybe 3 bullpens now. He and Ryan Franklin, another early round draft from the University of Tennessee. Both of them are throwing free and clear. It's hard to tell. I haven't seen either of them face live hitters yet, so it's still early on. But I can tell you, every time Liam Doyle throws, there's a number of people from the front office who are out there keeping an eye on him as well. And that's both Randy Flores, who's responsible for drafting him, as well as, of course, Folio, the player development performance AGM, whose job is to take these players and mold them into leaguers.
Brian Walton. Yeah, go ahead, Claves.
I was going to ask you, Brian, with the new regime and how the Cardinals do things, what have you noticed with respect to instruction and how they're teaching the game to these players on the backfield? Because as you mentioned, they're not playing anyone yet. So this is a really formative time for them to really get down to what the new Cardinal way is going to look like.
Well, Claves, I'm sure you've seen the minor league schedules. It's pages every day, and it must be in about 5-point font. It's hard to read because it is so jammed with tasks that these guys are doing. Every day they put the pitchers, they position players into groups, and every 20 to 40 minutes they're moving from a different station. They might be working on bunting, might be working. And I'll tell you, nobody is standing around ever. You see guys sprinting from. Part of that is because I mentioned 143 players in minor league camp right now. There are. So you can do the quick math. It's a better than ratio.
We're having a little, Brian, I hate to do this, but we're having a little trouble with the connection. So we're going to see if we can reestablish a little bit, because I am curious about what is going on back there. And guys, I know that we have in the last several weeks talked more about how much better the minor league system is regarded around the league, around the country. I mean, people who cover baseball, who cover prospects, it's pretty universal. There's a lot of praise for what the Cardinals have done in collecting talent in the last several months.
Yeah, so many different publications have their own rankings, but the Cardinals have the
Cardinals
Cardinals
0 for 4 now.
We just saw an ABS challenge with this umpire who is
this umpire.
He misses a lot.
He's missed 3. He missed 3 in one inning. And he just missed another one.
Yeah.
Was it the guy who missed 5 in a row a couple of days ago?
Yeah. He just lost another one.
Oh boy.
But I don't even remember what I was saying at this point.
So we're just talking about the prospect, the collection of prospects.
That's right. Yeah, whether it's Fangraphs or Baseball America or MLB Pipeline. I mean, you look at these team rankings, and the Cardinals have just boosted their way up to the top.
And that's an exciting part of what's going on now. I know the Cardinals are probably not going to be they're not going to win the division, I don't think. I mean, crazy things happen, but it is exciting. It is exciting that they have this young talent, Claves.
Well, and that comes from a couple of things. Obviously, you're drafting earlier over the last couple of years, and also the trades you made, you're getting prospects from other organizations. So it's really a pivotal time for the organization to have so many new people coming in. And either they come from another organization or they come from being in the draft. So you have to teach them all the same way. This is how we do it here compared to where you did it there. And it may be close to what you did there. But they obviously saw enough in these players to say, we think we can grow these guys and grow them together. So once we get on track, it'll be like the days in the Memphis Mafia with John Jay and Descalzo and Pete Cosma and all those guys came up together. They all knew how to play the game. They all knew what was expected of them in a Cardinal uniform. And I think we're going to go through that again with this current group of players.
I think I've said this before, but there's there really seems to be more of a focus right now, Clay, that the players are closer to being finished when they get here. Not all the way. When you've got Oliver Marmol and Stubby Clapp and Pop Warner, and you've got fantastic instructors at the major league level, you want guys to be getting better. But there is
also have guys in the minor league level of managers and coaches that are pretty good instructors as well.
I think the standard is being raised right now
agree.
on what a Cardinal looks like when they get to the big leagues for the first time.
We are going to Brian Walton, I believe, is back with us. We're going to give this a shot again. Hopefully the reception a little bit better. And Brian, we were just talking about is the collection of talent the Cardinals have picked up in the last several weeks and months, and how it seems universal with people who cover this sport and who cover prospects in particular, how well this team has done, the organization has done.
And certainly some of the benefit has been through drafting early, of course, to get Liam Doyle and J.J. Weatherholt, who are the top 2 prospects in the system. But if I look at our top 20 prospects at the Cardinal Nation, 8 of them were not in the organization a year ago. So 8 of the top 20 prospects. So that can tell you some of them, of course, many of them, of course, came in trades, over the winter for Gray and for Wilson Contreras, et cetera. But they've also done well in later rounds in the draft as well.
Brian, do you think the Cardinals overall did well? And you even going back to the trade deadline last year when they moved off the relief pitchers and brought in a bunch of guys, and then this offseason with the trades you just mentioned, the Donovan trade, maybe to a lesser extent the Arenado trade, do you feel like the talent that has been infused in the organization just in those trades has been like franchise altering, or is that maybe stating it a little bit too much?
I think the trades at the deadline were more not franchise altering. I mean, the guys like Nate Dolman, Blake Ida, Mason Molina, those are mid-tier prospect kind of guys. But if you look at Jurangelo St. of course, who's gotten a lot of attention as a switch pitcher, Brandon Clark, the lefty who came over, is injured right now. I mean, those guys are potential top 100 prospects in baseball. So those are the kind of guys that you need to move the needle. I mean, you need to have the troops as well, but you need to have those guys that are, potentially going to step into the front of the rotation and not just have a backup bunch of number 4 or 5 guys.
What is the moving forward here? And we know that in terms of pitching, they are looking for hard throwers. It's not unusual. Most teams, that's what they look for. We know the organization, at least at the big league level, has not been especially good with power. They've not hit for power. Is that the kind of thing then they try to draft for that because they know it's been void at the big league level? Or is it not the kind of thing that you can, really look down the road at?
It's hard, obviously, to draft power, early on, especially when you're looking at young players. But I had a discussion with a front office member about Rainier Rodriguez, who is the 3rd-ranked prospect in the system, a young man who still hasn't really played at high A. And he's not imposing physically, Rainier Rodriguez, 5'9", 209, I think. But he had the power. But when he was being looked at as a teenager overseas, there was concern, where would he play defensively? But the Cardinals looked at his power potential and said, we're going to take a chance on this guy. And it was told to me that in the past, that was a guy they might not have signed. So there is definitely a desire to have more power, coming up through the system. And some of the guys they brought in have that potential, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Brian, we might have a little prospect breaking news for you here, because Quinn Matthews is pitching. He just got hit in the hand, and the training staff is out taking a look at him and testing some things, maybe the forearm, but he seems to be having some issues here at the moment.
Well, it looks like he's going to stay in the ball game, though.
That's good. That's good. Quinn Matthews had a tough 2025. I think if we'd had this conversation a year ago, I would have said, hey, Quinn Matthews, not Michael McGreevy, was the number 6 starter in waiting. And he had some problems early on and really never got in the groove. Of course, McGreevy came up and pitched well. And Matthews is really here this year to prove himself that he can, in fact, be that next guy to step into St. Louis rotation. So hopefully that injury is going to be a minor one.
So we know Weatherholt is in big league camp, and he is very likely to make the team, barring some, something extraordinary happening. Is there anybody else that you think we really should be paying close attention to that maybe we're not? And I mean somebody who could end up factoring on the big league roster at some point this year.
Well, there's a lot of excitement about Joshua Baez, who was had a tremendous standout season at Double-A. Really turned his career around the year before. He was stuck in A-ball and really not doing well. Changed his mental approach, made some tweaks at how he approaches things at the plate. 6'3", 240, can play even all three outfield positions. Has not played a game at AAA yet, however. So Joshua Baez is a guy that's going to get a lot of attention in camp, but he's probably a second half of the season kind of guy. But he's from the position player side is the guy that probably excites me the most. And of course, he's still in Major League camp at this point, but he'll move to minor league camp at some point in time when they start to give more at bats to the regulars, and then they want these guys to continue to play.
Brian, another guy who has not yet been above Double-A is Tink Hence, and he put on 10, 15 pounds. We saw him pitch the other day, looked good. They redid his delivery. We all know that if they ever could find some way to keep him healthy, the sky is the absolute limit. Have you liked what you've seen from him so far? Well, really, he looks like a very different guy than what we've seen in previous years.
Tink Hence has always had the talent, but, when you go back to that wonderful draft, the Cardinals got Burleson, Walker, Wynn. Hence was a high schooler just like Walker and Wynn, but, he was derailed by injuries every single year, where those other two guys are established major leaguers. Hence has still never pitched an inning at AAA. Never pitched an inning at AAA. And so, I think, and he's used now, this will be his second of three allowable option years where a player can go up and down in the minor league. So I think the Cardinals realize, I think, hence, they need to get something out of this young man. And the best way may be if they can keep him healthy as a reliever. I don't think Tink Hence would break the camp with a major league club, but he's one that if he goes to Memphis and pitches very well, he could easily get in that relief rotation not too far into the season.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. I think he's a guy, if he can stay healthy and get off to a good start, he might be one of those guys you see late in the year as the Cardinals try and formulate a bullpen beyond what's going to be on the major league roster as we speak. And he might find himself part of that rotation. And I think that's probably the best way to probably develop him at this stage of his career.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Touched on another interesting next year. There may be a reluctance to put players on the 40-man roster who don't have to be yet. That's not the case with Hence. Hence is already there. But as we look at late in the season, it'll be interesting to see across baseball whether organizations are more hesitant to bring up players, knowing that once they are added to the 40-man roster, they would be on strike, or they would be part of a lockout and they wouldn't continue to play. So I think I bring that up more in the context of Joshua Baez. Actually, Baez is on the 40-man as well. But I bring that up in the context of some of these players who might be emerging, and the team will have to decide. The other thing that's interesting is they only can now a couple of players, or they could bring up the whole 40-man roster. So the days of September being a time to see minor leaguers cycle through has kind of left us now.
Brian Walton, we appreciate your coverage. Thank you for talking Cards prospects with us today.
All right. I'll be happy to come on.
Brian Walton, founder of thecardinalnation.com, again, does a terrific job covering Cardinals prospects. We are here with the Gashouse Gang for just a bit longer. Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji. Big game coming up for the Billikens tomorrow. They need to win that one. The Blues, they just got back at it last night. They got a win after being off for the Olympic break. A few more minutes to go here on the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
In a new story, there'll be plenty of surprises. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter with inside access to Camp Cardinals.
Presented by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And Happy Roof. We always create happy endings.
From breakout performances to roster revelations, get reports throughout the day on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines.
These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
Hola, amigos! Brad Evans here. Check out this booming voice and Pat Boyle on BetMGM tonight, covering the biggest sports stories from coast to coast, live and interactive on the free Odyssey app, discussing NFL offseason news and getting you ready for the madness in college hoops. BetMGM tonight with me, Brad Evans and Pat Boyle, live and interactive, Monday through Friday night, starting at 6 Eastern, presented by BetMGM. Always live on the free Odyssey app and watch on YouTube at BetMGM tonight.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling.
And by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Claves and Paulie are in Florida, where the Cardinals are playing some Grapefruit League baseball. I'm Chris Ranji in the KMOX studio, downtown St. Louis. And last night in downtown St. Louis, just a couple of blocks from where we are right now, the Blues got back at it after their Olympic break, and a hat trick by Dylan Holloway. So a win over the Kraken. Nice way to start for a season that has been pretty disappointing so far, fellas.
Yeah, it has been. And I think the question is, and we've heard this term used here quite a bit over the last couple of weeks when the NBA and now the NHL, tanking. I'm not saying the Blues are tanking, but I think that this is a real time to evaluate just who you are. For what is in front of you. And the reason why I say that is you have a couple of things going on here. The trade deadline is coming up here fairly soon. You have some players that might get you something. I don't know if there's a first round pick in return that you're going to see, but you got to get better as far as importing players because you have too many guys, in my opinion, that are playing out of position when they should probably be playing on a third or fourth line. You have them playing a higher up. And some guys are getting exposed, and we don't have a difference maker on this hockey team. When you look around the good teams, they have a couple of legitimate difference makers when anytime they hit the ice, whether they're defensemen or forwards, you have to pay attention to them. I don't think the Blues have that guy in that situation. They have guys that we thought had potential, hasn't lived up to it.
You got to find a star. There's not a star player on this team, and really good teams have multiple
They're kind of
stars.
like the Cardinals right now. They don't have a face either.
Yeah, but you know what? The Cardinals have a Gold Glove winner in Mason Wynn. The Cardinals have a Silver Slugger in Alec Burleson. I don't think the Blues have a version of that.
Yeah. But I'm saying as far as face of the team, and I say that because they're young. We're seeing guys that are playing for the Blues that have been there for a while, and the expectations have not been anything that close to what we thought.
It's so disappointing. They got to find whether it's going down. They got to stop overpaying for guys who aren't stars.
And
so
do
they
not give another no trade
Yeah.
contract.
And so
please
stop overpaying, and then you'll have money left to maybe go get it either via trade or via free agency. Go actually get a legit dude, because hockey players love playing in St. Louis. They'll come.
Yeah, I mean,
they will
look
come.
at the alumni that have elected to stay in St. Louis and be part of the community. Yeah, you're right about that. And I just think this is a real evaluation period for the Blues on what they actually are going to have to go out and get in the offseason. Because they're going to get a good draft pick.
Yeah, second fewest points in the Western Conference right now. So it's not looking particularly good for the Billikens, guys. And I want to finish here. We got just a couple of minutes before we have to say goodbye. Billikens have a really big game tomorrow against Duquesne.
They're all big games now.
Yeah, 3 games left, 2 more at home. I don't think you can afford to lose 2 more games. You can't afford to lose 1 probably, and you definitely can't afford to lose your 2 games at home. Either of them. So they'll play at Duquesne tomorrow night. We'll have the broadcast 6:45. And for a team that's 25-3, I still think they're in good position if we're talking about tournament at large. But they've made their job a whole lot more difficult by losing the other night to Dayton.
Well, the 2 losses to Dayton and Rhode Island are the ones that you just wish you could have back for sure. But I feel like maybe this is a point where Josh shakes it up a little bit from a lineup perspective because they've gotten off to such slow starts. You got to do something to rebuild the momentum that you'd established, and maybe you interject some players. He plays a lot of guys, so they shouldn't be tired, but they've got to do something differently because what they've been doing recently has been just too inconsistent to be able to be in postseason play for a lengthy period of time.
This is the cost of being in the Atlantic 10 Conference. There are implications and ramifications to every time you lose. You're a top of the league team in a bigger, better conference. You can lose a few games. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they're probably not going to play in St. Louis now in the NCAA tournament. That's off the table. And you lose another game or 2, all of a sudden they're a bubble team. So they have to get. They got to find themselves here over these next 2 very, very winnable home games.
They are still in good shape. They're 24th in the net, which is an important number. They're 27 or 26 in KenPom, 26 in KenPom. So I know all those numbers are going to be paid attention to. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Duquesne at home. It is the second to last home game for them. It is one of 3 remaining regular season games for the Billikens. And really got to win the next couple for sure. And probably
we'll be all right.
You need to win all 3.
We're going to win out. I'm saying it right now. We're going to win all 3 of those games.
Got to go get them, man. Guys, enjoy the rest of the baseball game today. Keep us posted if that umpire misses again.
We're on it.
Right.
It'll be breaking news. It's either this guy or what did Bill Clinton say today? Take your pick. Either one.
Guys, enjoy it. We'll talk to you next week.
Later.
Claiborne, Paulie, Ron G. It is the Gashouse Gang, and it is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, and Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Have a terrific weekend. We will talk to you on Monday at 12. The Gashouse Gang on KMOX. Dave Glover is next.
You're stressed about the tests that they